Hello, beautypreneurs. In this week's episode, we have an entrepreneur that helps other beauty entrepreneurs and doctors, estheticians, influencers to build their brand, their beauty brand, their skincare brand. And some of the topics that we cover, what's important to building your brand, your story, investors, packaging, trends. So definitely there's some golden nuggets. I wouldn't even say, maybe they're more like golden bars. But I'll let you decide. Definitely, you don't want to miss this show. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. And if you enjoy the show, smash that like button. Welcome to the Business of Beauty, where we help beauty entrepreneurs in building their business and reaching their dreams. This is your host, David Lee. So, hello, beauty entrepreneurs. Welcome to the Beauty of Business show, where we help beauty entrepreneurs grow their business and reach their dreams. I'm your host, David Lee. Our guest today helps doctors, estheticians, and beauty influencers create their dream skincare lines. She is most proud of flying under the radar and being an invisible force behind many popular products and brands today. Her superpower is the ability to read people in different situations, from working with buyers, being in development meetings, whether it's domestic or international. So her name is Nicole Simpson at Global Aesthetics Group. Welcome and thank you for being on the show.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm honored to be here.
Yeah. So let's get started now. Like, I always like to start with a little bit about yourself and then how you got started in the industry all the way from the very, very, very beginning. Okay.
I think that's like the quintessential question. My mission from now on is going to be like better icebreakers. So yeah. I remember I used to coach people for interviews. Like when I was in the corporate world, I used to have a lot of mentees that I would mentor through the process. And, the number one question they would always ask is, when you start an interview, like, how do you answer? Like, tell me about yourself. And we
like,
where do you even want me to begin? And so we used to tell them, okay, we'll start with your family or this or that. And now it's just, it just shows you the importance. And I know I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but even as you're creating your brand, to be prepared to know, like, what are those 3 things that you love about yourself or that are exciting about your background, and just have them ready to go, because you never know when someone's going to ask that question.
On the spot, like, go.
So, I'll keep it brief, but my story, I've been passionate about skincare since birth, probably. My youngest memories of skincare is probably 4, 5, 6, I don't remember, but around that age. And I would be in the bathroom and I would literally grab bottles and I would read to my mom the ingredients on the back to the best of my ability. And I would be like, what is this? Like ethyl, hexyl, whatever. And she would just be like, get out. Yeah. Don't annoy me, these questions I don't have answers to.
Wow.
She was being funny, but it was just, I did it so much that she just got to the point where she's like, yeah, okay. And then as I got older, that passion didn't go anywhere. And so my parents created, and cultivated a STEM environment for me. And so science became like a really critical core piece of everything I did. So whether it was science fairs or science meetings or flying around science shows, that's what I did. And so I went to school, studied biochemistry, came out. I actually worked as an analytical chemist for a major pharmaceutical company. Yeah. And I hated it. I was like, here.
In the back of my mind, like I took 2 courses in college of chemistry, and I just looked at chemistry as like, okay, I put like a little drop in a beaker and waited for like 2 hours for the colors to change.
Exactly, it's blue or green.
Yeah. I know. Like, this is so boring.
No, but I feel like, we're all called for a unique purpose, right? And we have what speaks to us, and people's brains are wired for certain things. So for example, in my organic chemistry classes, like I did really well there. It's just my brain understood it, but when I got to like physical chemistry, like I required 3 tutors to get through it. So, but other people would fly through that, but would get to organic and just be like, this is crazy. So, for me, that's how my brain was wired. And so I got a job in pharma, but hated it, not because I didn't love the science, but it's just, I needed people, the lab work wasn't the same. Like they would sit me on a bench and say, take the weight, record the weight of each drop that comes out of this.
Oh, yeah. That's the boring stuff.
I know. you know, I had one of those really early midlife crises where I was like, what do I want to be when I grow up, like for real? And I came back to skincare. So I went to school, became an esthetician. That, you know, you can imagine the conversation with my parents, like, wait, you just finished with your degree in biology and chemistry and you're going to go put mud packs on people? I'm like, come on, guys. So I did it anyway, and I went through and became an esthetician, and the rest was history. So
do you find that your biochemistry like background, did that help you in the esthetician side of things?
And it's not, you know, it's just a different approach. It's not that it's better or worse. It was just different. So for me, I spoke the science of ingredients. So I could look at a bottle and say, okay, this has a combination of blah, blah, blah. I'm going to use it to treat this. And I used that approach to build up my books, but it wasn't long before major skincare companies noticed. And I became an educator for Pierre Fabre de Mercosur. It's a French pharmaceutical company. They have 2 big brands in the US. And I was there for about 5 years, and I managed all of the education for the United States, training on chemical peels, science, I worked with doctors, estheticians, and then from there I went to L'Oreal, where I became the global AVP of education and business development. So all based on the core of skincare and science. But through that time, you know, I just gave you a 2-minute version of a 16-year lecture.
Yeah. we're hitting like fast forward at like 16x here.
Right. But during that time, you know, you really do become a veteran in the beauty industry, and you learn a lot of things along the way. So how to launch a skincare brand, how to develop products, how to market your skincare brand, like how to educate not just your buyer, but the customer at their deepest level of need to know information. And those small details are the ones that really lift the needle on brands that are super successful and those that are not. And so when I left the corporate world, you know, my whole MO was just to be able to focus on building my family. But when I was traveling, you know, I was in charge of 37 markets. So I was always in the air. I was in Asia, Middle East, South America, all the time, multiple times a year, and just wanted to take a break. And I did. And through that time of having my 2 children and consulting, I have landed here. And I help, as you mentioned before, dermatologists, plastic surgeons, estheticians, and even some beauty influencers create the skincare line of their dreams.
Nice. Now, your clients, what are their typical challenges? What do they come to you for? Like, hey, this is one of my biggest problems, like our challenges. What do they usually say?
Same across the board. They find me because the number one question is, I don't know where to start. Help.
All right, starting. All right.
And so, you know, the questions come from, you know, what lab do I work with, or where do I even find a formulator? And it's surprising to me, like, how many people come to me thinking that they have to invest hundreds of thousands of dollars in, you know, creating this formula that they own, and, you know, they have to go overseas and get all these chemists involved. But actually, you know, there are ways to move forward without doing that. And and so what I do to help people, you know, anyone can do what I do, but the beauty of working with me and that I bring to my clients is that I can save them a lot of time and just a lot of mistakes. And we optimize what typically are not big beauty company level budgets and allow them to start their skincare line, which is the second concern. Is like, okay, I have saved $10,000, but this is my dream. How do we make it happen? And how do we do it? So it is, it's just this amazing thing that, you know, when clients call me, I always ask them, before we get started, what is your why? Yeah. And that is, to me, the most important thing. Like, you have to really know your why, because as we were discussing before, being an entrepreneur, like you in mountains and roadblocks and storms, and there will be days where you wake up and you're like, I'm done with this. What was it?
Yeah. It's like a roller coaster, right? The highs are high, the lows are low, right?
Right. And knowing and understanding your why allows you to just reconnect with your purpose, and then further deepening the understanding of your why becomes part of your brand story. You know, gone are the days that people buy products on pretty packaging. They buy it because they're connecting with you as the owner or the founder or your brand story or the reason to believe. And so I would say, you know, helping my clients through the whole, yes, you can do this. Yes, you can do it with a low budget. You can do it with a big budget, anywhere in between. And yes, we're going to figure out your why. Once we get through those 3 things, the rest is cake. So I'm
going to ask you a little tougher question. I'm going to dive a little deeper into the why. Okay. So, you know, like, a lot of entrepreneurs I hear when they first start, or they're thinking about starting a business, one of their whys like, hey, I want to be $1 million. I want to be a millionaire, right? And then one of the next things I would tell them, like, you're in the wrong field. Don't try to be a business owner if you're trying to be a millionaire here. So, like, from your experience, what has been the strongest whys where the whys have allowed the doctors, the estheticians, the beauty influencers to kind of keep pushing forward because their why was strong enough to kind of push them through all that pain?
So this is a really good question, and I'm going to try to answer it without breaching some confidentiality.
Oh, yeah.
I would say one case that I can speak about openly is where, and we actually are just getting ready to launch this person's project. She had a father her father was somebody who suffered a lot of skin cancer. And they were from Northern European countries where skin is very fair and they're susceptible to sun damage, and they moved to California, and you know how that goes. So he had a lot of skin cancer, a lot of scary rounds of skin cancer. And for her, she was like, you know what? I need to be able to develop something that can allow people to look like they have sun and to have healthy, nourished skin while protecting it at the same time. And so her why is very well connected to her father. There's another case where her why is very closely connected to her children and some challenges that her children were having and she has helped solve. So I feel like the personal connection always helps. The other strong whys I'm seeing is the environmental connection, especially with the younger, I'm really trying hard not to breach confidentiality.
Just more general. You don't, no name. It's more the story, right?
The younger people who are developing their lines care very much about plastics in the ocean. They care very much about sustainability and packaging, and are really going the extra mile to put forth a better future for what will be their children. So I feel like it's not necessarily a type of why. But I feel like the personal why goes much deeper versus like, oh, I want to be, like you just said, I want to be a millionaire.
I want to be rich, or I want to, be famous or whatnot, right? Like half the time it's like, okay, well, you got to survive the first few years, and running a business will beat you down over and over again. Right?
Completely. And that's the thing that, some people that are unicorns out there, you see them, like Drunk Elephant is the perfect example. Beauty Bio is another one. They work very hard, so I don't take anything away from them, but they have just been the lucky few that do consistently hit those keys and find the success and blow up very quickly. And that does happen, not without hard work, but that does happen. But it doesn't represent the majority of what will happen in skincare. Skincare success and beauty business success is all about the grind. And you do have to be prepared for 2 to 3 years of runway to do that hard work, especially if you are self-funding, which is usually the case.
Yeah. So, okay. So this actually is a great transition to, all right. So we're looking at the runway. We're looking at, okay, being, self-funded, because a lot of our viewers they're thinking about starting their skincare business or beauty business, and they have a little bit of savings. Hopefully, I wouldn't recommend if you don't have any savings, right? Maybe get a job first and then save up, right? But they have a small amount, maybe $10,000. But also understanding, okay, what is that runway? What happens at a certain time, at certain milestones, right? If you run out of cash, now what, right? And you don't want to be in a position where, okay, I ran out of cash, and now I'm just trying to scrape whatever I can rather than being strategic about it, planning for it, right? So the milestones. So what do you tend to see? All right, in the beginning, what should be a good number to start with? Is it $10,000, $20,000, and then maybe 3 months, and then 6 months, and then a year?
So I'll do my best. I feel like, what I often talk about, especially when I do online streams like this, is that the first most important thing is that failing to plan is planning to fail. I know it sounds cliche, but in this case, especially if you are self-funding, I have seen success cases where people have spent $2,000 and developed one product, maybe a face oil or a nice overnight moisturizer, but they planned how they were going to do it very strategically. So they were super clear on who they wanted to market it to, what they were going to name it, what they wanted it to look like.
Like who even promote it, right? Like they have everything planned out.
Milestones aren't necessarily financial. They are progression in the game. So you have development phase where you make your product, and then you have packaging and branding, and all of that is its own thing. And it can be done quickly or in the long term, but the most important thing is that you stay true to it and it reflects what you want, and that you really dig deep into the details, because if you do, you'll find that you don't have to spend a ton of money, or you could, depends what you want to do. The next milestone is go to market. So what are you going to do to get it out there? Are you planning to sign distributors or go to retailers or work with influencers? If that's the case, that's usually, I recommend that about 6 months after you launch, because you're going to need those 6 months of runway to work out all of your holes and your kinks and perfect your story. You're going to find errors that you didn't even know would come. And you have to really prepare for that. So usually 3 to 6 months. You want to give yourself the room to make your mistakes and to make your improvements, and then start having those meetings. But if you know you're going to have those meetings in 6 months, you're also going to use that window to really, really prepare. And then from there, it's, how do you scale that? And everything that goes in between. So it's, when are you going to turn up the volume on your digital ads? When are you going to turn up the volume on your influencers? How are you going to get in front of influencers? And so it's more of understanding like the how you're going to do it. People have done it on no money, no budget, but they're very strategic about who's going to help them. And some people, I just learned of a brand last night, again, confidential, that was funded $750,000, which in the skincare space they were in is a lot of money. So, that's a lot of money that they could have used strategically. But the people in charge did not plan how they were going to use that money. And it's important to consider that when you spend money, another cliche, but this is so true in our space, if you have $100 to spend, okay, spend it, but spend it in a place that you're going to make $200.
Yeah, exactly. Make sure you have your good return on investments, right? The ROI.
Yeah. And so this is like another place where we, help people a lot, is understanding, it's easy to get caught up. And when you launch your brand, you're going to get calls from everybody. I'm sure everyone I talk to has gotten that email from Kevin Harrington. He used to be on the Shark Tank, and he's like, hey, I love your brand and you should work with us and pay us $10,000, but we're going to put you on TV. And, it's really easy to get caught up in that. And start throwing 10,000 here, 5,000 there, and before you know it, you've dropped $100,000 and you're still in the same space. And so we counsel people through, like, if you've got a $5,000 budget, where do you really want to put that to get you to the next step? And then when you're at that next step, what is it going to take for you to get to the even next step?
Yeah. Now, have you seen it done in reverse rather than before going to market? It's almost like a Kickstarter campaign, right? Where you do it in reverse, where you drum up the interest and then you go into market once there is enough buyers, and then those buyers are basically funding you, right?
Absolutely. And there are, there's a taste for everyone. I work with people who want to be funded, and we actually prepare them to go in front of investors. I've successfully helped 3 brands raise capital, significant capital, to go and run, and they're doing a great job today. But you have to have the mentality and the wherewithal for it. If you go after big funding, you're going to have a boss essentially in your shorts every Friday wanting to know.
Now, I have a lot of experience in the corporate world, but new entrepreneurs, small business owners, they might not, and they might literally be eaten by sharks, right?
And they are bloody waters. The world of working with investors, and I don't say this, investors are lovely people, but at the end of the day, they're giving you money to make money. So just that purpose alone, the pressure is inherent. So, it's not the TV Shark Tank. It's not Mark Cuban and Barbara smiling at you and wishing you well. It is people like, I gave you $100,000. Where's my $200 back?
Exactly. And you're now, this next thing you know, they're like pretty much like a collections agency, right? Like, hey, where's my money? I put all this money in, right? Where's my interest, right?
You are going to go after investors. Like, finding the right partner is critical. Somebody who you vibe with, who understands that this is a long climb, and they need to be with you, understanding that it might take you 3 to 5 years to hit goal. But they exist and they're wonderful. It's just, it's not what it seems on the surface. There are people who say, you know what, I've got $10,000, but I'm going to go do a friends and family round. They're going to support me through a $50,000 expansion, and that's going to fund my digital ads and some travel and some, retail fixtures. And that's okay. It's friends and family. You make a mistake. They're not going to be as harsh.
Yeah.
So,
but you do see them every Thanksgiving, so that's the one problem, right?
Bring your own food. You never know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's that, and then there's a case of people like, you know what, I'm just going to get out there. I'm going to roll up my sleeves and have the grit, and we're going to make it happen. So, it definitely ranges across the board. But there are people who fund up front, and there are people who fund as they go. There are people who are okay knowing that they're just going to reinvest revenues.
Yeah.
For 2 years to grow organically, and that's okay. It's whatever works best for you.
Okay. So I guess let's dive a little bit deeper in the funding part then. Let's say, all right, we have an entrepreneur that's ready to get funded. What do they want to get funded? What do they need to prepare? To just a simple like high level bullet points, like make sure you have this, and this.
Right. This is tough. So maybe we'll do another session on getting funded, because it's really it's something I'm passionate about, but every case is different. So there are some things that are pretty standard across the board. What are your projections? Like, what do you realistically think you can do? What's the size of market? Who is the consumer? What would be the lifetime value of that consumer? And what's the average purchase of that consumer? And so you have kind of like that baseline data that you need to understand. I encourage people, if you don't know who your consumer is, get on Facebook and start to find who you think it is, and then just like stalk them, not in a creepy way, but just understanding like what they talk about, what type of restaurants they eat at, just things to help you get in the mindset of this person.
Yeah, like be them, right?
Exactly.
Put yourself in their shoes.
And it's that's not so hard to do. You just have to invest the time to do it. So all of those things are pretty key. And then it's again, having clarity on your milestones. So how are you going to go to market? Where are you going to sell your products? How much volume do you think you're going to sell? Things like this, they're always looking for. And then the leadership team is absolutely critical. They want to know that you are investable as a CEO. And it's okay to have shortcomings, especially if you're new in the industry or newer in the industry and you've never really grown up a business before. That's not so important as it is to have the right people around you. So if you are weak in finance, do you have an advisor that can guide you through a P&L? Or if you've never marketed anything before, do you have someone who can advise you on a good marketing campaign? So building up the right team of people in your circle helps you a lot. And then just making sure that you dig around. You can get on LinkedIn and other resources and look up who investors are. Watch them for a bit and just find out what kind of projects they even invest in. And you can start to have an idea of what type of money you want to go after.
Yeah.
And this could take an hour to clarify, but like the top line thing. So that if you have more questions, feel free to reach out, or maybe we'll do another session later on.
Okay. Yeah. Appreciate it. Okay. So let's change gears a little bit, new direction here. So trends. Let's talk about trends. Okay? Everyone loves to talk about, hey, what do you think is going to happen? Because like the previous trends, I thought it was crazy, like beard oil, right? More personalized skincare. CBD has been pretty trendy, right? Plant-based, sustainable products. Like, what are some of the trends that you see in 2020 and then also the next 3-5 years?
So you definitely hit them all. But I think what you're going to see the difference is, personalization in skincare is definitely a big one. So you're starting to see like SkinCeuticals has done a phenomenal job putting out something called Custom Dose, and they've chosen the right dermatologists around the country to help them launch this. And so if the derm has a customer that they say, you need a really high dose of vitamin C, but we want to add a few things to make it work better, they can customize it, the machine mixes it, and they go home with their personalized formula with their name on the label. And so, it's really cool. And there are other brands doing it too, Universe Skin and some others. I think you're going to see big trends in that, and just many ways to bring that even into the home so that you don't have to go to the doctor. So you're going to start to see things that sit on your countertop that mix, that you might be able to take. This is very true, actually. You might be able to take a picture of your skin today, and your device will say, today your skin has more yellow than red or more red than yellow. So I'm going to custom blend your foundation to give you a flawless complexion. It mixes it and you put it on. So this is about 1.5 years away from being launched.
Wow.
So things like this. Bringing the medical experience to your home, customization is going to be key. Sustainability is by far going to drive the majority of the trends. which is the good thing. I think there needs to be a lot of pressure put on supply chain people. A lot of people point fingers at the beauty industry companies, and we do own some of that. It's not that we don't want to have sustainable packaging, it's that the options that are available aren't great yet. We have to pressure them, but also there are companies popping up now that are getting funded that are providing interesting solutions for smaller brands and bigger brands to be able to access sustainable packaging. So that's going to be a huge thing. I also see biotech playing a role. So taking like biological ingredients and making them safe for cosmetic use and finding those on the countertop too. So those are some things to look forward to.
That's crazy. Now, like as someone that's looking at getting into any of these fields, I mean, some of these items sound like they require a lot of investments, right? Like the biotech, right? You don't just like produce a product or create that machine at home. I'm guessing you have a much larger team, a larger investment capital to do that.
Or you just work with vendors who have already done it, but can make something special for you. So it doesn't, I mean, there's always a capital outlay, but it doesn't have to be what people think. And I think that's probably, that answers the number one question I get is like, can I do this? Is this realistic? You know, trends are always big and you have to consider them, especially if you're doing
come and go. And next thing you know, you spend 3 years, 4 years building something and the trends are
already out. And so I actually tell people don't formulate for trends unless you really do have enough money and enough resources to be quick and maximize that. Be true to your philosophy and formulate things that you really believe in that can give you 10 years of runway, 10 years of longevity. And then once you're established, then start putting things into the trends.
Yeah. Okay. Makes sense. So just focus right now on sustainability, right? It's something that will last for a while. Okay. Very good. Let's see. Okay. So my other question is, so let's say that, you know, the entrepreneur has one product. Would you recommend creating a product that's complementary to that product for their second item or second product? Or would you say, hey, let's create a different type of, let's say, skincare product, but solves a different problem for this market, for this audience?
I would say you need to stay true to your expertise and you need to really answer that question by looking at what your customers want. Your customers provide you more information than you can ever imagine. And, you know, a lot of success in brands comes from cultivating a community around your brand. People who follow you for a reason and they are loyal. And so asking them what they want and what they need and what they expect from you is actually a better way to approach that question versus like a systematic, like, okay, well, I have a cleanser, now I need a toner, or now I need a serum. You know, that may not be the case. You might have made an amazing cleanser, so they may say, we want a cleansing device.
Okay. Yeah, so it could go either way. Just really listen to your community, listen to your customers, your audience, right? Now, you mentioned a really big important, I guess, a tip there is building your community, listening to them. How the heck do you build it? I know it's been tough for us just building this channel, right? It's a slow grind, right?
It's a slow grind that you need to be prepared for.
So how, do you have any tips there? Like, how would you grow the community for a new brand?
I mean, you just have to be there.
Like every single week, right?
You know, I talk out of both sides of my face sometimes with this because it's like, okay, I always say, get a team, hire out what you can handle. You know, and other communities do this. They'll hire admins to get in. But at the end of the day, people are in your community because of you. So you have to be present as much as you can. And you have to be comfortable speaking to crickets for a few months. The more you reach out, the more you ask questions. You know, I have a LinkedIn group that is pretty quiet, but it's because I don't nurture it as often as I should. I don't have a lot of extra time. But when I'm in there, I ask questions, you know, and I'll actually, if I still have no answers, I'll reach out to a person directly and be like, hey, I noticed that you're interested in peels. What do you think about this? And it's not fake, like it's authentic. And I think just having the patience to reach out one-on-one to people and start a conversation that's meaningful eventually turns into other people sensing the authenticity. I mean, if it's all anecdotal, like I used to, when I very first had my first Facebook group, I used to pop in like all these motivational quotes and finally people were like, Nicole, you're so annoying. Like, can you just hear what you think about something? And I'm like, good feedback. Okay. So
everyone else is doing it, right? It's just the same template over and over again, right? So they want something from you.
Totally. So authenticity matters and then consistency, but like, beyond your current definition of consistency. Like it requires consistency that is off the charts. If you can commit to those two things, you'll build your community just fine.
Nice. Yeah. And I totally agree with you. The funny thing, it's funny what you just mentioned, because I just made a post earlier on LinkedIn and I was like, are these bots? Or are these like random people? Every time. So the crazy thing is, as soon as someone, wants to connect with me, I hit connect, and then I get this automated, it's automated. As soon as I hit connect, boom, this huge like 3-paragraph message, gets sent to my inbox. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
It's not
like they didn't really want to connect with me in the first place.
Yeah, exactly. But then I have some fun and I start trolling them and like, hey, what about this and this? And I try to like break their bot. But that is so true. The more technology that we have, the more like automation, the more AI actually that we have in this world, then going back to the roots is even more important. Like imagine if you received, instead of an email, you received a mailer, handwritten. You're like, wow, that is amazing, right? That is something that people will remember. So it's something unique. So I totally agree with you.
Yeah. I mean, that's good for maybe like lead gen in a way. Yeah. But again, the moment you got those 3 paragraphs, you were already just like, so you knew that, oh my God, and you didn't even do that. So yeah, definitely don't do that. Building your community, guys.
Yeah. Maybe start with a conversation like a normal human being would say, hello, thanks for connecting. Something simple, right? Not like 3 giant paragraphs.
No, totally. And I think, AI and chatbots all have their place, but when it comes to community, like, your neighbors, you don't talk to your neighbor by robot.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe you do. Hopefully you can even say hi.
10 years from now.
We're totally going to be in Jetson.
Yeah. So, so I have a few questions from our viewers. Okay. And some of these questions are pretty broad. So we'll dive a little deeper in, and maybe we'll get some golden nuggets from each of them. Okay. So what is the best way to market myself? Man, that's really, really generic, right?
It's not generic at all. It's the number one question that I get when it comes to people who want to build their influence, right? So putting yourself out there. Social media is the right platform. Whichever platform you like the most, pick one. If you love Facebook and you feel like you have an audience on Facebook, start there. If you love the gram, like you have, the wherewithal to be in photos all the time, start on the gram. Pinterest, people are blogging. So pick the platform that makes sense for you. Choose one, and then once you really get following them, then expand to the others. You have to take the time to get really clear on your story. So recently I have been doing some PR on me for a specific reason that I can say in a couple months when things go live. But it was the most uncomfortable thing, because when I was working with the agent, they were asking me all these questions about my story and myself. And a lot of like me, and I felt like, God, I'm like bragging, and it's just people maniacal, and I hated that. But she when I took the time, the hour that it took just to say my story out loud, starting from childhood all the way up to now, we pulled out what were the key components of what made me who I am today, or what's important to what I'm standing believing in today. And that became part of my story. It's authentic and it's part of my story, but things that like I normally wouldn't have thought about, like when I was working my global role at SkinCeuticals, I would travel to Paris 7 times a year, and it got so normal for me that, I would snap a picture and be like, oh, it's the Eiffel Tower. And that sounds so terrible, but
everyone's like, oh my God,
Everyone else is like, oh my God, you're so lucky. But little did I know that experience would play so much into what I'm trying to build today. And so for me, in my head, it's arrogant. But for other people who see my story from the outside, they say, you know what, this brings us a lot of value because we found through your experience something that helps us out today. So you just have to be really open to like not getting caught in that trap to say your story out loud. And so get comfortable with your story, pull out the key points that you're comfortable with, that are true to you. No one else can be you. So I don't even want you to look at what other people are doing, because no one will ever do what you do. So stay true to yourself and your story and your why, and just share it relentlessly. Your stories, quotes, whatever it is, just get it out there all the time. You will quickly expand because people will vibe with you. You'll start to put together your tribe. If you listen well to your tribe, then you can scale from there.
Yeah, like my analogy to that is like for those that haven't really talked about themselves, in reality, you actually have. Think about a resume. Have you ever written a resume before? Right? It's like it's tough, right? Writing your resume and you're sending that out, and potential employer is looking at it. So ultimately, you're selling yourself, just like a business. You're selling your business and your story behind it. So that's your resume. And how do you have it written down, or do you have, I've seen some crazy resumes too, where there's like 10 pages long and it's full of text. It's not clear and concise. So as soon as you see it, like, it's too much information.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, it's definitely, you're right. And, it's just a lot of self-attention. And some people are cool with it. And for me, I really struggled. For me, it was always about building up everyone else around me. And I still do that. That's what I do. I help people grow and reach their dreams. And that doesn't come from me talking about me. That comes from me helping them talk about them. So, it's that personal hurdle that many of us struggle with, but just getting comfortable to talk about pieces of your story, everything else falls into place.
Good. Thank you. Okay. Next question. How important is packaging?
Oh boy. It depends on your venue. Okay. If you're going to be an e-commerce brand relying on influencers, then packaging is important.
Yeah. Because you want those pretty Instagram photos, right?
It has to be Instagrammable. That doesn't mean expensive in this case.
Yeah.
This means it has to be well thought out. Good use of color, simple, clean, does it look good on the shelf so you can get shelf use? Does it look good on its own?
Yeah.
So packaging becomes important then. If you are looking to do more Amazon things, maybe not so much. I get a lot of questions about, primary versus secondary, meaning do you use a bottle and a box? People usually use boxes or to ship your products better. Yeah. Or if you're going to put on a retail shelf, it is a lot cleaner than just bottles. But
it increases your costs.
It does, and the consumer throws it away. Like you rarely will see boxes on an Instagram post. You see the pretty bottles. So I would focus on finding those, and then if sustainability matters, then packaging becomes critical.
Yeah.
Depends, kind of what your end game is. If you're trying to get into Sephora. If you go walk around a Sephora, you're going to see everything. You're going to see really ugly bottles. You're going to see really beautiful bottles. But the heavy hitters, like, for example, Drunk Elephant, many people were attracted to that brand because of the colors on the packaging. So, yes, I would say look at your end game. Herbivore became a cult favorite because that was the first time you saw a glass bottle with a beautiful blue tansy oil inside. And a beautiful label that was simple, and on Instagram, like my God, beautiful product shots you see have an Herbivore bottle in it. So cases where packaging matters.
Yeah.
So it really depends. But if I had a client who had a limited budget, I would say let's put the budget into your marketing dollars and not into packaging necessarily. You can. The other thing I'll say about packaging is you can do a lot with a label.
Okay.
Printing, is always nice. Like even I'll use my lipstick. Like the NARS logo is on the tube. There's no label here in this time, but screen printing gets you into a situation of minimum quantity. If you have the capacity to sell 500 units, then don't spend your money buying 5,000 units of something that makes it. So there are many cases where labels are gorgeous and there's nothing wrong with the label. You can do super premium labels. So keep that in mind as you go through your journey.
Okay. Very good. Yeah. Thank you. Let's see. I think we've already touched on this, like how important is it to have social media presence and which ones. Pretty much kind of what you just discussed earlier, right? Focus on the one that you're most comfortable with and where your audience is at.
Totally. And you have to be there. If you're not there, you don't exist. So you've got to get on it. Hire a photographer every quarter, get some good pictures of yourself and just do it.
Nice. The next question is, what have you found to be most effective way to market a skincare business in 2019? So last year.
Oh boy. Digital. I think, yeah.
Sure.
Digital is, today is still important, but what we're starting to see happen is that your spend doesn't go as far. So, I saw a case recently, in November, there was a pay-per-click Facebook campaign just to get likes on a page for a new brand. And we used to see those likes come in for 2 cents, 3 cents, 15 cents. The cost per like was $2.67.
Ouch.
Ouch.
Yeah.
On the page. And so these social platforms are getting smarter. So the advice that I would say, in digital is diversify your outreach. So diversify where your ads go between Facebook and Instagram, and also don't underestimate Google and the power of SEO. The ultimate name of the game is that you're going to sell. It's a ratio. So for every 2,000 people that come to your website, you might have 3 orders. So how do you get those 2,000 people there? The cheapest and most efficient way possible, and then how do you convert those orders? So digital is definitely where it's at. I would say, do PR if you have the budget, but if you don't, try to work with micro influencers who can help you put the word out and then just leverage that like crazy on your own social. And that will help you gain the traction you need to start going to the next level.
So for those that don't know what micro influencers are, is anyone under a certain threshold, right? Like how many people that follow
beauty, okay, so this is very subjective, right? In beauty, it's typically considered less than 100,000 followers, but it can even go like 3,000 followers. So people who haven't yet gotten to that place where they're demanding $65,000 for a campaign with you. This is reality. So yeah, but you might have people who are up and coming who've built up a very loyal following and who are happy just to post for you on your behalf because you gave them a product to try. And there are plenty of them still out there.
Yeah.
I would focus maybe there if you have a limited budget. If you don't have a limited budget, then by all means find an influencer who has the audience you want and go all out. But
yeah. Do you have any tips on how to search for those influencers that are like under 100,000?
Are you gonna can you have show notes on your platform? Because I can put it there.
Yeah, for sure. Yep. We'll have this video saved, and on the page we'll have a list of resources. So if you have any great tools there, we would love to have that, and then we'll definitely help our audience. So thank you. So we'll be down in the show notes down below. Let's see. Let's move on to the next question. I know we're running out of time here. Let's see. We kind of talked about content. What is the best way to market a new product launch? This is pretty generic, pretty general. I know.
I would say that, again, it comes to what your end game is. So trying to summarize something again that is a massive topic, but if you're looking to become the next media darling, then your launch has to be media heavy. I would say if you're looking to be acquired, then you have to build a brand that is acquirable, which means you have to set big targets, set the right retailers, and start thinking about that early. But in terms of marketing a launch, at minimum, you need to be prepared to start your online ads. You need to have influencers or people online ready to go to start talking about your product. And then you need to have a press release that goes out. You can do that yourself. You don't need an agency like PR, Web, and a few other outlets. You just write a nice press release. It goes out. Hopefully some people will pick it up. But that starts the media footprint for your web as well, and it just makes things very real. So that's how you get started. That's where you can start. And then making sure, oh my God, there's so many things. Just making sure you've got your drip email campaigns ready to go, and a customer acquisition strategy in place. How are you going to go get those customers? Where do they live? Where are they online? And how do you get them, and how do you draw them in? So if you can answer those questions, the pieces of your marketing campaign become very clear, and that's how you start.
Nice. Yeah. So thank you so much for your time. I have pretty much one more question for you, I guess, to wrap it all up. I guess what's one final tip you would give an entrepreneur that's thinking about starting, going into the skincare business, the beauty business? What would you tell them?
Do it.
Just do it.
Don't wait until you think things are perfect. If you have an idea on your heart, you really have this weighing on your heart, go for it.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the most important things I can tell people, because people sit 5 years waiting for that right moment. No, don't wait. There's no reason to wait.
There's no right moment.
There's no right moment. If you're connected to your why and you really believe in what you can bring, then do it. If you need help, call me or call someone close to you who has done this or who has good resources that can help you. Don't overspend on anything. And check your options. There's always an alternate. And then I would finally say, don't stalk your competitors.
So tempting, right? Like, I wonder what this big competitor is doing.
Okay, and if you are, because you will, like, don't go down the self-comparison rabbit hole, because they're not comparing themselves to you. What they're doing is focusing on what their brand does well. And that would be my advice to you as you get started. You know, you're always going to look at what other people are doing. You need to know it's our industry, but you know, use it as a guide, but end it there. Like, don't say, oh, well, you know, Jamie O'Banion from Beauty Bio has blonde, long, curly hair, and you know, she's beautiful. I need to go and match this level of expertise. So, or not expertise, but just like how she presents herself every day. When I've seen many beauty entrepreneurs be completely the opposite and do an amazing job. So just, you know, focusing on you, who you are, be authentic to you, do what you do well, everything else will be just fine.
Love it. Love it. Thank you so much. Now, how can our viewers reach you?
Oh boy, go find me on Insta.
Okay, Instagram. Okay, what's your tag?
Yeah, just do it there. At Nicole No Skin. You can also send me an email, nicole@globalaestheticsgroup.com. We'll also put that in the show notes. You know, I'm here to support and help. If you guys just have general questions, like, don't hesitate to reach out to me. You know, I'm always here. I can always come on again later if there's something that shows itself. I'm happy to be in the community to answer questions. But, you know, and if you need like formal help, you know, I'm always here for that as well. But, you know, I'm here to help you reach your goals. And you know, if you've got questions, just send them out.
Love it. Yeah. Thank you so much.
All
and
right.
yep. And again, if you guys have any questions, feel free. You know, I'll be monitoring the comments and everything else too. And I'll make sure to forward that over to Nicole, and we'll go from there. So thank you so much. And everyone, have a nice day.
Bye, guys. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.